Marvel made a new show starring Mahershala Ali's Blade, except it's not voiced by Mahershala Ali, he is not Blade, and he doesn't fight vampires. But besides that, this might as well be a Blade show. Yeah, I'm talking about the Marvel Zombies show. Now, this is something that I feel like a lot of people have forgotten about until the trailer came out today. It's a project that seems to have spun off of the first season of What If, that had a zombie episode that some people liked, some people didn't like. At the time, I was pretty critical of this episode, mostly because of the tone. But I like the idea of a zombie universe and just different Marvel characters, different characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe trying to navigate that world and then running into different zombified characters from the Marvel Universe. Like, I think that's fun. So I got no problem with this as a concept, even though it's spun off of something I'm not an enormous fan of. Also, zombies, very much in Marvel's DNA. Besides the fact that Marvel Zombies is a comic event that people remember from the 2000s, Marvel also maybe had the trademark to the word zombie from the 70s to 90s. This is kind of an urban legend, and I'm not the kind of person who's gonna go into the trademark office, wherever that is, but it's something to the effect of Marvel had a comic series that was technically a magazine so that they could get around the rules of the comics code called Tales of the Zombie, and because of that, Marvel trademarked in comics the word zombie, but because they didn't do anything with that book, the trademark ran out after 20 years, and then it just became something anyone could use. I think that's true, don't quote me on it. Anyway, it's something people think, so at least it's part of the Marvel mythology of zombies. But okay, so this seemed like it was going to come out around Halloween. I'm not sure exactly why, but Marvel pushed the release date up to late September of this year. So we just got our first trailer, and I think it looks pretty fun. I have a couple of criticisms or just things that are interesting about the trailer. I'm not going to talk about speculation, which characters die and whatever, but I just want to talk about whether this trailer was successful, if I'm excited for it, and what I am excited for. So was the trailer successful? Yeah, kind of. Here's my one issue. And if you haven't seen the trailer, it opens with this very dramatic kind of rating card where it says, "This trailer's rated MA," and it shows a zombie getting their head shot with an arrow. And what this is supposed to convey is the idea that, maybe the What If show wasn't like this, but, they're showing blood, they're showing guts, people's heads are getting cut off, and you're going to see everything flying out, and they're going for that, and I think that's fun. I think that's great. It doesn't look like it's necessarily going to be that scary or like a horror thing, but it isn't going to shy away from that kind of zombie gore that some people enjoy. And I think, stylistically works here. So that's what they wanted to get out there. They wanted to show it in the trailer. My issue is just, there's too much of it, too much emphasis is put on this bit early in the trailer, and I think if it was just 2 seconds long, it'd be like, hey, this is a mature thing, so that's fun. But because it lasts for as long as it does, you're forced to be like, yeah, I get it. You think it's very cool, you're very proud of yourself for making this MA-rated cartoon about zombies. I just felt like for me it was trying a little too hard to be badass and edgy, and they don't care what anybody says because they're just gonna show blood. Also, this feels a little silly in a world where Invincible exists, and it's not like this isn't something that people are kind of used to, and I don't even think from what I've seen this is that crazy compared to some of the gore in shows like Invincible. So I think if they played this a little softer, just a short TV MA thing, it would have been cool. Besides that, we really just jump into it. So this show seems to be following characters largely from phase 4 and 5. So characters like Yelena, Kate Bishop Hawkeye, Shang-Chi, Kamala Khan. Those are characters we knew were going to be the focus of this. This got announced a little while ago. We saw some art for it, but this is the first time I've actually seen all of them together. It has that apocalypse-y Mad Max aesthetic, which I think is cool because that's not really where the first episode of this on the What If show was. By the way, this is a 4-episode series. Now, I've heard people say, and I do not know if this is true, so again, don't quote me on this, this would have been a movie if it were not for Spider-Man being in it, because then it would have to involve Sony, but because it's a TV show, it can. Again, I don't know if that's true, but that's something I've seen going around the internet, and I just know the rules of Spider-Man are very complex, and it wouldn't shock me. But it feels like these 4 episodes are going to flow like a movie, and then that's going to be it. And I think that's cool. Kind of like Eyes of Wakanda from earlier this year, but at least it seems like this is more of one simple story of a bunch of things happening in succession and not as many vignettes. But we see a bunch of people get exploded and stuff, and they turned into blood and guts, and it's so badass. Oh my god, you wouldn't even believe it. 2 things surprised me in this trailer. 1, Namor. That's a fun little character that you don't really see too much of in any of the other phase 5, phase 6 material. We're going to see him again in Doomsday. He got a chair, but besides Black Panther Wakanda Forever, this is the first time he showed up, and he would be a dangerous zombie because he's really strong and fast. Also, the trailer put a lot of focus on an abomination zombie. Cool. and a ghost zombie, which, as far as zombies are concerned and like powers you would not want a zombie to have, that's the main one, is the ability to walk through walls. Now, for people that don't remember, this zombie outbreak in What If comes from a trip to the quantum realm, kind of automatically scoops up most of the traditional Avengers, so that's why they're not the main characters. In the end of the episode, our heroes are fully like destroyed except for Spider-Man, Black Panther, at that time T'Challa, and Ant-Man's floating head. And they have the Mind Stone, and you're going to take it to Wakanda, but the big reveal at the end is, oh no, zombie Thanos is in Wakanda, so now they have to fight him, and that's gonna be hard. We did see a little bit more of that in this trailer, including that very cool shot of Spider-Man using webs to rip everybody's heads off. And I saw some people online being like, but Spider-Man doesn't kill. This doesn't count. These are zombies. It's fully a different thing. Like, I don't think he's just going out and killing zombies for fun. But like, if there's zombies between him and something and he needs to get there to save the world, you kill the zombies. That's fine. It's interesting. I saw someone point out online, this is the first Black Panther thing with T'Challa that has been made since he died, where he won't be voicing the characters. So they're going to have a different actor voice that character. That's a bummer. I think in the wake of Thunderbolts, I like this team composition specifically. I like the focus on Yelena and Red Guardian. I feel like those two are really now positioned well to be characters that people are going to be really excited to see in Doomsday. Say what you will about Marvel not creating amazing through lines in phases 4, 5, and 6. Yelena in Black Widow, Yelena in Hawkeye, Yelena in Thunderbolts, and then Yelena in this. Like, she feels like an important member of this group. I like that. And Alexei is fun. Then we got the main character as far as I'm concerned. And if I were Marvel, I would just start marketing it as such. Blade. This is the Blade played by Mahershala Ali, except he is not voiced by Mahershala Ali, but he looks like Mahershala Ali. I assume this is what the Blade was going to look like, but this version of Blade in this universe is also Moon Knight. So that explains his armor, and then that one shot where he turns his sword and you can see Khonshu in the sword. Now, in a world where a Blade movie came out by now, I think this would be fun, because we'd all love Blade, right? We'd be like big Blade fans, and then it'd be like, oh, this is a take on this version of Blade. Like, oh, cool. In the world we live in, where there was no Blade movie, he just spoke very briefly in an Eternals post-credit scene, and then Wesley Snipes came back in the Deadpool movie and said there's only going to be one Blade. So, like, the fact that that is our exposure to Blade at this point makes this Moon Knight twist feel like a hat on a hat. Just, I wish there was time to just make it just plain old Blade. And have this be like the introduction of MCU Blade. Obviously, he's in a different universe, so like you wouldn't have to, but like maybe even this is the universe that version of the character's from, and in Secret Wars, everybody gets merged and then he just shows up. Like, I don't think there will be too many people who will be confused by this, but at the end of the day, the Moon Knight stuff is not that interesting to me. I'd be excited to see Moon Knight, the character played by Oscar Isaac, again, but I would also just like to see Blade stuff. And honestly, if it was just Blade, and you maybe could even still do this, Marvel, rename the show Blade vs. the Marvel Zombies. Now, there's a chance he's not in it forever, like he does get killed, maybe that's possible. I imagine a lot of people do, but I don't know, it feels like he is gonna play at least a somewhat significant part. So push the Blade thing, pretend this was that Blade movie you guys always wanted to make. The shot where he kills Ghost and then does the Zandatsu from Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, like, very cool. Say what you will about things like the faces in that Marvel What If style, but the action was always great, and this action looks excellent. I'll say the thing that makes me the most interested in this is not the characters, although I'm excited for that, and it's not the gore. It's the fact that this is written apparently and like show run by Zeb Wells. People that don't know, Zeb Wells is primarily a comic book writer at this point, I guess. He used to write for Robot Chicken, which was a very funny kind of nerd sketch show with action figures, and he also wrote the 7th episode of the She-Hulk show, The Retreat, which I think is one of the best episodes of that show. He also wrote Deadpool and Wolverine, the movie. So I think most people like that. Like, it was very popular. I think it's the highest grossing phase 4, 5, or 6 projects besides the Spider-Man movie. So like, that's a good sign. And this feels like one of the first times, besides people like James Gunn, who are very into comic books, like Marvel does not do this usually. They do not usually let comic book people write the shows or the movies, and it seems like that's worth trying. DC seems to get that. Tom King is very involved in things like the Lantern show, so I hope that this works, because I think having Zeb Wells work on it is cool. Now, some people will say Zeb Wells, they don't love Zeb Wells' comic run because it was the Spider-Man run, one of the Spider-Man runs people don't like. I would say I did not read all of that Spider-Man, but the man has written many more things that people do like. Wrote a great Carnage story, wrote a great New Mutant story, and most recently wrote the Hellions book, which became a lot of people's favorite Krakoan X-Men book that was ongoing. And this feels like it has a little bit of the Hellions DNA in it. One of those kind of scrappy underdog teams made of odds and ends that have to work together. Yeah, kind of like Thunderbolts is a little bit like that. But I'm excited by the idea of a comic book writer coming in and writing a Marvel thing. I think, and I have said that I think the MCU has been doing a good job recently with Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. I don't know. I think that could be fun. More comic book writers giving this a shot if they want to, and seeing if those projects maybe feel more comic booky, or if they just get at something that none of the rest of the stuff has. So, I'm excited for this show. I think the trailer was cool. The song in the trailer by Baby Metal was cool. Very high energy, very exciting. Gave the show a little bit more personality, and I hope that carries on to the main series. So we'll do another video when this comes out in late September. But just from looking at this, I'm pleasantly surprised, kind of looking forward to it, and I hope it holds up because it could be really cool. And you know what else is cool? Nebula. And Nebula is not in this as far as we know. I think Nebula would be good in this show, but no, I'm talking about Nebula, the subscription streaming service that I helped to create. And basically the pitch for my channel on Nebula, all my videos go up early and ad-free on Nebula. So this video, you're watching it right now, it was on Nebula just maybe a couple hours before it went live. But my next video on my Nando V Movies channel, that's going to be up probably a couple weeks early. So you get access to the videos early, ad-free. Lots of other YouTubers you already like, some of them who talk about comics and movies and stuff like that, are already on this platform. You got Patrick Willems, Captain Midnight, Princess Weeks, just added Shea Frillis Productions, who I love, obviously, and we're always adding more. Then we also have originals that we do. These really high quality productions. Sometimes they're videos. We've done documentaries. We did a play once. We're doing a series soon that is a scripted drama. It's an anthology in the vein of Twilight Zone and Black Mirror, but instead of being about science fiction stuff, it's about complicated human relationships that take place in New York City. And one of the episodes, called Power Trip, was written by me, and Patrick Willems directed it. And I've been updating you guys in these little bits at the end of the videos as the production's gone on. So we filmed it, and it looks incredible. The actors blew me away, but you will see it and you'll know what I'm talking about. I don't have anything I can share right now, but trust me, when that comes up, you'll see it. And I hope we make behind the scenes things so you can see how we made it, because that part is also so cool. So that'll be out sometime in the near future. Can't say exactly when. Until then, you can watch, we just put out a series called Amy's Dead End Dream House by and starring Maggie Mayfish, with a bunch of people playing the weird puppet guys, because it's kind of like a Pee-wee's Playhouse thing. One of them being Paul F. Tompkins. It's really cool. And it's very fun. And again, it has the feel of one of those children's shows, but for adults about adult problems. And that is very cool. And we're putting new episodes of that out weekly on Nebula as well. And the best part is a yearly subscription to Nebula is a steal at $60 a year, it's $5 a month. But if you go to go.nebula.tv/thenandocut, you can get Nebula for just $36 a year. That is $3 a month. It is an incredible deal. Go check it out. That's all I got, everybody. Stay safe. I'll see you around.